And the Blitz continues now. Bill Jones with Kyle Yeomans, and we're now joined by Tommy Yarish, DallasCowboys.com, who's been doing a deep dive into this Cowboys rookie class. Very interesting stuff as he has talked to the old college coaches for these new Cowboys players. Very interesting, Kyle.
Yeah, it really is. It's a great read on DallasCowboys.com. Multiple articles that you can check out from Tommy himself. Tommy, I want to start with our number one overall draft pick, first rounder Tyler Booker. You got the chance to talk to Alabama head coach Jalen DeBoer. He had high praise for the Cowboys' new offensive guard.
Yeah, I really appreciate all these coaches for making some time for me. And Tyler Booker was the first name that Jalen and I talked about, and nothing but high praise. Jalen DeBoer came over from Washington to Alabama. He's got to follow in the footsteps of Nick Saban, and Tyler Booker was a big reason why that transition was so seamless for him. Not just for how physical he was on the offensive line, but for the type of person he was in the locker room. DeBoer told me this is a guy who knew when and where he needed to step up and step in as a leader, and he did it in his last season at Alabama. They didn't get to where they wanted to go in terms of as a team throughout the season, but Booker was fantastic for the Crimson Tide and really big for Jalen DeBoer in terms of the transition that he made for him.
Now, you got to double dip when you talked to Boston College head coach Bill O'Brien, of course, the former Houston Texans head coach, but he was also at Alabama with Tyler Booker and Donovan Ezaraku, the second-round draft pick, of course, at BC.
Yeah, Bill O'Brien, a guy who has been in the NFL level and knows what it looks like in terms of players, right? Got there for the start of Tyler Booker's career at Alabama, helped recruit him to the Crimson Tide, but Donovan Ezaraku in his last year at Boston College was Bill O'Brien's first year. Before Bill O'Brien even met the Boston College football team, he met Ezaraku early, and that first impression really stuck with him, and that translated throughout the rest of the season. Ezaraku had his best year yet. He had 16 sacks on the year, and he was a guy that O'Brien had nothing but high praise for, and he really feels like he's going to translate well at the NFL level because of the bend that he's got. Not the biggest guy, but O'Brien said this is a guy who's going to work tenaciously to be able to get into the backfield and bring the quarterback down, something that he did very well under O'Brien's watch in his last year at BC.
Of course, a lot of the character off the field has been a big topic of conversation for this Cowboys draft class. The loyalty from Donovan Ezaraku at Boston College with Bill O'Brien was one, but Savone Revel, too, in what he brought from East Carolina's standpoint for a new coach. This was a defensive coordinator promoted to head coach in Blake Harrell, and he really needed a guy like Revel to step up in that locker room.
Absolutely. You talk about loyalty with Ezaraku. Well, Savone Revel was the ultimate idea of loyalty in terms of his commitment to Eastern Carolina. He turned down $300,000 to $650,000 worth of NIL money from the SEC level to the locker room presence that he was at East Carolina too.
All right, we looked at the top three picks. How about we go to the fifth round, the running back Jaylen Blue out of Texas, and you had a chance to talk with one of my personal favorites, Tashard Choice, and basically behind enemy lines now because he's now the Lions running back coach, but he's had some good ones in college, hasn't he, Tashard?
Absolutely. Tashard Choice at Texas has done one of the best jobs, if not the best job in the country at developing running backs. There's a picture of the Texas running back room from a couple of years ago with Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Brooks, prospect to make that jump, and they're going to play the Lions here down the line, fellas, so it's going to be an emotional moment for Tashard Choice, looking across the sideline as the running backs coach in Detroit and seeing Jaylen Blue wearing the star on his helmet, knowing how much that means to Tashard, and Tashard is a fan favorite for everybody wherever he goes.
Well, and he knows what it means to wear the star on the side of the helmet himself. He's got a running back that's going to do so as well. I mean, this is a high character class, and I think all of the conversations you had with the head coaches from their collegiate experience now proves that Brian Schottenheimer, as the head coach in the NFL, is going to have something to work with down the line.
That's exactly right. So check it out on DallasCowboys.com. Go read the series that Tommy did, talking to the college coaches. We appreciate Tommy Yarish for joining us. And the Blitz. Well, the Cowboys draft class signed, sealed, and ready to deliver for the most part. Tyler Booker was the first to sign. Still got Donovan Ezaraku out there, but Jaylen Blue signing this past week, and things coming together for this class.
Yeah, and don't be alarmed to see Donovan Ezaraku not on that list just yet. I mean, it's usually going to take a little bit of time. There's usually some money talk on the side of the slotted allotment for each of the different picks and where they were selected in the NFL draft. So it's not unusual once you get to OTAs to have one or two players not signed by this point. And knowing the way that Donovan Ezaraku has spoken about this team and the way he's put his goals in the forefront, he's going to be just fine.
Well, when there's a team that guarantees a contract for a second-round player like Houston did with Jaden Higgins, I think you look around the league and there's probably more second-round picks that aren't being signed just yet.
So.
All right, we got OTAs coming up this week. What are you looking forward to? We've got a media day on Tuesday for OTAs.
Really excited to get a look, and it's our first real look at this team as a whole, because we've seen a little bit of rookie minicamp, but even that was just a split second. I want to see who's going to step up outside of both CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens at wide receiver. Who can be wide receiver 3? Because you have 3 potentials on the roster with Jalen Tolbert, Jonathan Mingo, and Kevontae Turpin. Who out of those 3 and out of that trio is going to be in the mix to be wide receiver 3?
And I want to see Joe Milton throwing it around the yard.
100 yards.
That's right. Thanks for joining us for the Blitz. We'll see you next week.
Let's go to Jaylen Ramsey. And this is kind of big NFL news, too. There does kind of continue to be some buzz, some expectation that Jaylen Ramsey will end up being traded by the Miami Dolphins. Barry Jackson, who was one of the better Dolphins beat writers out there, really Miami beat writers in general, does a lot of stuff down there, reporting Adam Schefter said, there's more interest in Jaylen Ramsey than people realize. And June seems to be the timeline here for a potential Ramsey trade. I do think a post-June 1st trade makes sense. I think in general, we anticipate too many moves to come after June 1st because a lot of them can be made beforehand. Trades cannot be designated post-June 1st. It literally has to occur after June 1st. Here's why that deadline matters. As of right now, the Miami Dolphins have $14 million in cap space. It's fungible, but that's the current number. Ramsey's current cap hit is $16.66 million. If the Dolphins trade him right now, they lose about $12.5 million. So all of a sudden, that cap space goes to almost zero, and they're probably having to make other moves to free up cap space. Now, if they trade him after June 1st, they kind of get back into a better spot where they've got 21, or they save $5 million, and the cash begins to matter. Now, again, they're eating more money in 2026. That's okay. The 2025 cash right now for Jaylen Ramsey is $21.1 million. Cash is similar in 26, 27, jumps a bit in 28. He is a free agent in 2029. The cash is what matters here. That's what you would be paying him. It is not what you would be paying him on your salary cap, though. In fact, Ramsey's cap hit for 2025 is just $5.92 million. It's 18.3 in 2026, continues to rise, depending on if you cut him or release him in 2029, or if you cut him beforehand. There's going to be dead money left, but it really depends on when you cut him and how long he's around, but it's just kind of whatever leftover cash you haven't paid him yet on the cap. So there is going to be dead money after that. In large part, there's a huge roster bonus due week 1. That's cash he gets paid out. Doesn't impact the cap, though, that heavily. So for the Ramsey contract, in terms of the cap hit, it's actually very easy to take on. It's not very expensive. Every NFL team can make that work if they want to. There is plenty of cash. At that point, you're staring on the barrel of, it's 1 year, $6 million, but if you cut him, eating 14 the next year, then it becomes, okay, it's, 2 years, you're paying him around 18 or closer to $22 million, but a bunch of dead money there. So the cash is the issue. You can pay him short term. If you're a contender, you want to go for it in the 1 or 2 year window, Rams, that actually does work. It's probably too much for Dallas. Historically speaking,